Hello students, today we will discuss about R software, and specifically we will discuss decision making structures, in particular if else. Then we will learn about the loops, what are the loops, and in particular for loop. And after that we will discuss functions, and in particular what are the user defined functions, and then uh, to write down the functions to solve the ODE, ordinary differential equations. So it may be a single ODE or it may be the system of ordinary differential equations. So in this discussion, our focus is on more programming part in our software. So those who are new for R, they can uh, see what is the R. R is a language and environment for statistical computing and graphics. Means you can use R as a computer language, or you can use it as an environment for statistical computing and graphics. So nowadays R is becoming very popular due to its as a free uh, feature. Means it is freely available on the internet, and you can download R from this link. And if you install the R, if you want to check, then I can check. So this is the website where you can download R, and there are latest version 4.040. This is for Windows, and it is for 32 and 64 bits. So according to your system, so you can download and after installing the R, you can install the R Studio, which provides some more features, GUI features. This is a uh, additional software which provides some additional things, or good this is a good platform to do the simulate the R codes. So this is the link for R Studio. Otherwise, if you don't want to use the R Studio, then you can do on work on R as well. So this is download R Studio, and it is also free available. So you can download from here, download, and this is for RStudio desktop. So this is the open source license. So for other commercial purpose and other for server, so it is paid for this one, and pro server commercial license is paid. Otherwise, this is for personal use or other use. It is freely available. So after installing the R, those who are new, they can go through this software, and then they can do small things or basic uh, code available on the internet. So first of all, we discuss a decision-making structure, and all the programming languages support this type of structure. And in particular, it is known as if-else statement. So this is the flow diagram. So this is the flow diagram for it. So what is this flow diagram? Uh, Means there is some condition. So there is some condition, and if this condition is true, then the body of if will execute. And if this condition is false, because there is a text expression or condition which have only two state, either it will be true or false. So if it is a true, then this task will be execute, and if it is fails or false, then body of the else will be execute. So in uh, R, what will be the syntax to write down this? So this is the syntax to write if else structure in R. Means first of all you have to write down if, then parenthesis will start, and within the parenthesis start and end parenthesis. So there will be some condition, and that condition should be valid in that sense. It has only two values, either it will be true or false. After that, curly braces is started and curly braces is closed is here. Means this is the environment or for the uh, if condition, and you can write down any code here. So which is written here, statement 1. So any code you can write down for a particular task, and that task will be executed if this condition is true. If this condition is true. So and else, if this condition is not true, if this condition is not true, then this is the environment or uh, for else, or so this environment will execute. This is, or it is given as statement 2. So statement 2 will be executed if this condition fails. So this condition is our crucial test to execute whether the statement 1 will execute or statement 2. If this condition is true, then statement will execute, and if condition is false, then this statement will execute. So this is similar to this one. Means if this test is true, then the body of if will be executed, and if it is false, then the body of else will be executed. And it is not necessary we have to write down the else, and if we remove this, then this is the simple if test. If this condition is true, then this will be executed. So this may be the case. So I have discussed if else, otherwise there will be the if only statement. So if only statement is there, then this part will be up to here. Means if this condition is true, then do this particular task, otherwise there is no additional code. So you can do it. So if you understand this one, then we can have an example. And what is this example? This is an example where suppose we have a number uh, x is equal to -5. So this is the assignment operator. So this is the assignment operator in R. Otherwise, you can use equal sign instead of this one. So if you take x is equal to -5, so suppose I take x equal to, so this is our environment. So long script file you can write down here, and this is the console, means small code you can write down here, or you can use it as a calculator. And this is the uh, means workspace where the all variables saved, and here you can find out the files, plots, and packages, etc. So this environment means whole window is divided into 4 different parts. So this is the RStudio. So here suppose you have write down x equal to, so you use this operator x, means you are assigning 5 into x. So this, sorry, x was -5, not 5. So uh, x is -5. So if you want to check the value of x, then simply write down the x here and enter. So x is -5. So if x is -5, then we have to write down a code, or we have to check whether x is negative or positive. So if we are checking the condition, if x is greater than 0. This is a particular example where I have fixed the value of x. Otherwise, we can uh, change this value. So if x is greater than 0, so this is the condition. This is the condition. If I write down x is greater than 0, so actually this is nothing else, this is the statement. So statement has only two values, either it will be true or false. So if x is greater than 0, so either it will be true or false. So what is the case here? If you take x is equal to -5, if x is greater than 0, then this code will be execute print. Print is for simply whatever you will write down within quotes, that will be print on the uh, uh, output window. So if x is greater than 0, then print this non-negative number. You can write any statement here which you want, and you can use here double quotes or single quotes. So if it is positive, if it is greater than 0, then message will be non-negative number. Else else print negative number, otherwise number is negative. So what is the condition here? So what is the case here? So case is x is equal to -5. So this condition is true or false. If you put -5 is greater than 0, so this condition is false. If it is the false, then second one means else part will execute. So message will be the negative. So we check it here. So if I copy this program, uh, copy, and I can paste it here in console, as well as I can put it here. So it doesn't matter. Suppose I write down here, uh, paste, and you can check. This is the blue, which are the result keywords, and which are green color. So this is string, means these are the as it is will be the print, and these are black for normal code. So suppose I want to run it, because x is already in our this environment, so it will pick the value for x from here. So if I select it and for run, so you can press the control enter, or there is a command to run it. And if I run it, then what is this? So if x is greater than 0, so this code is printed as it is, and after that output is negative number. So if, suppose I change the value of x, suppose I take x is equal to 6, and if I press, now the value of x is changed here. Now the value of x is 6 here. And now if I execute this program again, so if I run this program, so for running the again, either you can select it and run it here, or you can use the arrow key. So up arrow key or back arrow key. So actually there are a lot of lectures, or I will record a lecture on basic on the R. So if you press this one and enter, then output will be the non-negative number, because 6 is non-negative. So first condition is true in this case. If x is 6, then this condition is true, and if this condition is true, then the first code will be the execute. So this is the first simple example in which I use the if else. So there is a one if and there is the one else. And if you remove it, and if you want to only check the positive number or non-negative number, so you can do it up to here. So it will also execute if x is the positive. So if I run it, so non-negative. So you can do the if statement as well. So now nested if else means I can use if else more than once. So this will be the syntax to write down. If there will be the text expression, then this will be the starting of the scope of the if, and this is the end of the scope of the if. Else if means, now what is this? After else there is the if, and there will be again a condition. There will be again condition, means if this condition is true, then statement will be executed, and if this condition is not true, then it will check again this condition. If this condition is true, then execute the statement 2, and if that condition is also not true, then check this condition, and if this condition is true, then execute the statement 3, and if this condition is also not true, then do this task, means statement 4. So this is the example where nested if else are used. Means if this condition is true, then execute with statement 1 will be execute, and if this condition is not true, second condition is true, then this will be executed, and if both are the not true and third one is true, then statement 3 will be executed, and above 3 all are the false, then fourth statement will be executed. So in the previous example, if I want to check the 0 for the case for 0 as well, so 0 for 0 I have to uh, mention it, the first condition, if it is less than 0, then negative number, and second condition, else if it is x is greater than 0, then positive number, and if both are the false, means you have to write down else print 0. So this means this is the first condition, similar to this one. If it is true, then do this task. This is the second condition. If this condition is true, then do this task, and if both are uh, false, then do this task. So if I copy paste this and take as x is equal to 0, so I paste it here as well. So I paste it here. So you can use 0, x is equal to 0 equal. Okay, so doesn't matter you are writing this one or assignment operator error. So both will. So if I select it, so now what will be the output? 0 print. It will print the 0. So output is 0. Next is introduction to loops. Means first of all, we should understand what are the loops. So loops allows the program to repeatedly execute commands. It does this by iteration. And what are the iteration? Iteration is synonymous with repetitions. Means if we want to repeat a particular task to many times, then we will prefer the loops. So this is a condition. So there always a condition, and if this condition is true, if this criteria meets, then then this code, so whatever code is written here, that will be execute and it will go again. Then it will check the condition. If condition is again true, then it will execute this code and go like this. So it will continue whenever the condition is true. If this condition is true, then this loop is executing and executing. And if this condition become the false, and if this condition become the false, then it will terminate. So it will depends upon this condition, whether this condition is true or up to that condition is true, then execute will code will be the execute. So we can see this in terms of the repetition. Means this code will be the this code will be the repeated until this condition become the false. So there are different types of loops in R, and R supports for loop, while loop, and repeat. So I will discuss only for loop here. So otherwise you can go and search what is the difference between while and repeat. So not so much difference is there, only so I will focus on the for loop here. So what is the for loop? So there is an initial condition, and if initial condition, it will check some means initially I have assigned a variable, suppose, and that is known as the indexed variable, and then you will check that this condition, okay, v belongs to that sequence, means that initialized variable belongs to this sequence. If this belongs to this sequence, means if this is true, okay, if this element belongs to this set, then this is true, then do this task, and after that it will go to this. So so This condition is whenever true, then it will execute this code and it will jump to here. So if this condition becomes the false, then it will terminate them. So this condition is very important, okay, for up to I have to continue the loop. So I explain this by this example. What is the syntax? So this is the syntax for loop. So suppose you have to write down the for, and after that the parenthesis will start and the parenthesis closed. And this I is the indexed variable. So you can take any variable here, I, j, k, or something else. And you are checking if this I in is a predefined keyword in R. It check I whether belongs to 1 to 27. So this is just syntax to generate a sequence from 1 to 27 in R. Means if you write down 1 colon 27, so it will create a sequence from 1 to 27. So suppose I write down here 1, uh, then colon, then 27 and enter. So it will generate a sequence from 1 to 27. So here we are checking whether this I is from 1 to 27. So if I is equal to 1, initially suppose I is equal to 1, then this is in this sequence. If it is 2, then it is in this sequence. So from I is equal to 1 to 27, so that will be belongs to in this sequence. Means loop will execute from 1 to 27. So this loop will execute 27 times. So, and this is the starting of the scope of the for loop, and this is the and the scope of the for loop. Means whatever is written here within these curly braces, that task will be repeated 27 times. And make sure this should be a valid syntax. So do something is not a valid syntax, means we have to follow the syntax rule of the R, and the commands must be between the two curly braces. So we have already discussed. Okay, so we have to write down the for and like this, and this is the start of curly braces, end of the curly braces, and do something. And do something will be repeated. How much time? That is controlled by this condition. So, for example, suppose you have 1000 data sets, and for each data sets you need to make a graph and save it as a jpg. So it would take a great deal of the time to do this manually, and a mechanism that can repeat the same time of similar commands any number of times without human intervention would be invaluable. So this is where a loop comes, a plan for the 100 data set. So this is where a loop comes. So what is the benefit of the loop that is explained in this example? Okay, suppose we have 1000 data sets, and we have to make some graph for that data set, and we have to save each in a different file in JPG. Then manually it will take so much time. So, and if I use the for loop, so for I is equal to from 1 to 10 1000. Actually this code is not R, this is only for explanation. This is a pseudocode. So pseudocode means which is written simply the English language. So this I from means this is a controlling condition, and extract the data set, then make the graph for this data set, then save, choose appropriate labels, then make the graphs and save the graph, and end of the loop. So then just some lines will do this tedious work. So we will discuss some examples based on this for loop. Further slides. So loops with functions. So we will discuss the what are the functions separately, but first of all we discuss how the loop works with functions. So developing this procedure requires programming and some logical thinking. So functions often go hand in hand with loops as they both help to automate the commands. So suppose in the previous example, we want to calculate some summary statistics and apply a multivariate analysis. So we will very quickly end up with 10 to 15 commands inside the loops and the code become difficult to manage. So suppose in the previous example, I want to find out suppose mean, variance like that. So how will you do it? Then you will use some functions within this. For loop. Means this is the for loop, end of the for loop. So extract the data sets, then execute a function. So mean, median, mode. So whatever you want to find out, so you can find out using a function. So you can call the function in that for loop. So execute a function to calculate some statistics for data set, then execute a function to make and save a graph for data set I, and execute function that applies multivariate analysis on data set. Means simply this is an example where we can use the functions within the loops, and that will be a good technique if you want to if you use the functions within the loop, or loop can be used in the within the function. So they are the inter correlated. So now we discuss what are the functions. So function can be treated as a collection of codes that performs a specific task. Means we want perform a specific task to and that specific task can be performed by a collection of codes. So that collection is known as the functions. So you can consider that functions like a box which requires some inputs and it produces a output. So each machine can be treated like as a functions. So it is a box with multiple holes in one side for input and a single hole on the other side. So it takes so many inputs. So it may take many inputs and it will provide a result, combined result. So combined result may be in any form. It may be a matrix, it may be a list, or it may be any data. So the multiple holes can be used to introduce information into the box. The box will act as a directed upon the information and feed the result out to the single. So so we have to write down this code. Okay, whatever code is written, and that will be executed based on this input. So a function allows for the input for multiple variables, carries out calculation, and passes the result to the user. So according to the order in which the variable are entered, so this is important. Means A, B, C are called and X, Y, Z within the function. This is called the positional match. So means these are the inputs, and these inputs are used as x y z for the functions, and in which order they are mentioned. So they will go to means a will be abc. If you give the input in form of abc, then a will be assigned to the x, b will be assigned to y, and c will be assigned to z. This not be the case that b is assigned to the x, right? So in which order you have write down, so they will be assigned to the input variables for the functions. So there are two types of functions. One is the inbuilt functions or predefined functions or library functions. And other one is the user defined functions. So what are the inbuilt functions? Means those functions are already available in your system, in your software. For example, suppose you want to find out the mean. So mean is a function which provides you the mean of a data. Sum, squares provides a square, log also calculate the log. So these are the pre-defined keywords, and there are so many functions which are available in your R software. So what are the user-defined functions? So made by user to perform a specific task. So our focus is on this. Okay, how we can define, how we can made our own functions. So these are known as the user-defined functions. So how will we define the user-defined functions in R? So, so suppose we want to do a particular task and are not aware that a dedicated functional library exists for that. That's clear? Because we are writing a code or we are writing a functions for that particular task, function is not available, then we can write down our own code. So what will be the syntax to define the function in R? So on the first line, there is a function name. So this is not fixed keyword. You can change it according to you. So actually this is the name of that function. So you can give any name. Suppose I write down this is my first function. You can give the name my first function. Or it should be some descriptive type. Suppose I want to calculate the cube root. I want to make a function which calculate the cube root. Then write down the cube root or my cube root function. So name should be like that. So so this the R supports this type of dot structure. So you can bifurcate the name for more to increase the readability of the name. So I have mentioned this as a dot. So you can use any name according to you. Then there will be equal sign or this operator, assignment operator, or you can use the equal sign. So this is known as the assignment operator, or equal is also, single equal is also treated as the assignment operator, and double equal is treated as the equal in normally most of the program languages. Then you have to write down the function. This function word is necessary to write down here. Means we are going to write down a function. So this is optional. You can, not optional, you can give by your choice, but this is fixed. This function is fixed, so I pick it as a highlight. So this is fixed, that should be fixed. Now parenthesis will start and some arguments will be there. Means inputs, what inputs you want to give your function. Means a function requires inputs, so that inputs you have to define here. Suppose you want to find out the area of a circle, then what will be the inputs? Radius. So suppose you want to find out the area of the square, then what will be the input? Input will be the length. Suppose you want to find out the area of the rectangle, then what will be the input? Input will be the two, length and width, length comma width. So it will depends for number of arguments. So it will depends upon which type of function or for what purpose we are creating the function. So, and this will be the scope of the function, and this is the scope of the end of the scope of the function. And computation of the arguments, some other code. Means whatever code will be write down here, that will be treated as the function code. So that could be executed. So a function has a name. So what is this? Normally this function has a name. This is the name of the function. Some arguments, then there is the argument used as an input to the function within this parenthesis. And following the keyword function. So this is predefined word here. A body which is the code within the curly braces. So this is known as the body. So this is known as the body of the function. So this is the body where you carry out the computation. जो भी आपको so whatever computation you want to carry, and then have one or more return values. So and always a functions return some values, means that will be the output. So you define the function similarly to the variable by assigning or directive function to the variable function. Uh, so we can define the function similarly to the variable by assigning. So we can define, as we define means we define this function to this variable. Actually, what is this? This is nothing, a variable. So we assign the whole code into in this function, this variable whole function. So we can assign. So you can write it here y as well. So that function will be assigned to the y. So there are some functions, those who do not carry the names, and those functions are known as the function, anonymous functions. So suppose I omit this part here. I omit this part here in this. If I write down only function, argument, and this one, so that function will be known as the anonymous function, because there is no name of that function. Means we did not assign that function in any variable. So, and there is a remark, we should choose the function name such that which are not result keyword. So which are not our result keyword means, suppose mean is already a predefined keyword, and if I put this function into mean variable, suppose I write down the mean here, so that will be a very problematic. A system will confuse which mean I have to calculate according to this one or whatever is predefined keyword. So avoid this type of result keywords. So this was the basic how we will define the function in R. Simply write down a variable name and then assign variable assignment operator, and that function is result keyword, then parenthesis, within the parenthesis you will give the inputs, and then starting of the curly braces, end of the curly braces, and within this you will do perform a particular task. So we have already discussed a function name, arguments, function body, and return value. So return value is a function that is the last expression in the function body to the ability. So whatever you want to return the value, that should be the last value, means last line treat as the return value, or otherwise we can specifically specify it that this value should be returned by this function. So this is an example. So in this example, so this is an example where I want to calculate the square, compute the square of integer n. So actually this is the hash command is there. If you write down the hash before any line, so that become the command, means that will not be executed as a program. So they are used only to increase the readability of the program. So actually this line will not be executed. So this is the name. So I define a function my first example. So this is the case sensitive. So my first example, and then assignment operator function is predefined keyword function should be written here, and then I write down n. N is input, so it will take some value for n, and then what is the curly braces is started here, curly braces is ending here. So what will be the body here, n star n. So it will compute n star n, and it will return the by default, because there is a single line, so it will define the so it will return this output as a output. So because the last line in the function, it by default is the returning value. So there is only single line, so n into n, it will return n into. So if you enter the n as a output, and it will return the output as n into. So nothing else, it will gives you the square. So for example, I uh, copy this code, copy, and suppose I paste it here. My first example function and this line is not necessary. If you want to remove it, you can remove, otherwise you can uh, remain it as it is, so it will not uh, create a problem because has sign is before this. So this is the command. So now there are two ways. Either you can select it here and run it, or otherwise I can save it as by some name. So suppose I save it is my first example, my first example. So I can save this file as save. So you can save it this file, and this is my working directory in which I am currently working documents, and save this file as my uh, first example, or you can give any other name, my first example dot r. So dot r for r file, so I save this file. So now it is saved as my first example. So suppose I run this code. So suppose I call my uh, first, or if I run it here, so I will do it later. So I can call this. So how will you call this function? So this is known as the definition, means we have defined the function. Now I will assign the value of to some value in uh, this n is not necessary, that should be the same, otherwise you can take as k. So now I will assign some value in this n or k. So suppose I assign n equal to 5. So if I assign 8, so n is equal to 5. Now I call suppose my first example, and then I write down the n here. So because now I have defined n is equal to 5, so this is the and if I run it, could not find the function my first example exam. FIRST first example. I'm making mistake. Yes, so it gives you the my first example n is equal to 25. Or directly you can write it here somewhere. Suppose I write down the 6 here. So if I run it, then it gives you the 36. So this part, so I remove. So this part is known as the definition of the function, and this is known as the calling of the function, where we are calling the function. So it is not necessary we have to call this function in this file as well. So you can call this function in different file. So now this is saved in your uh, system. So if you write down here, then this is the suggestion. Okay, there is some function which has the name my first example. So if I write down here and give suppose 10 here, so if I print here, so output will be 100. Now this is already saved in your system. So uh, so you can calculate, or you can use this function as a square, which provides the square. So you can find, you can use this function as like this. So you can find out the square root of any number. So if I press this number, then it gives you a large. So this is simple example of the function where I calculate the square of the a number. And if you want to find out the cube, then just enter 1n, n into n into n. And suppose you want to calculate the radius of a circle, then that will be, suppose pi r square. Suppose n is replaced by r, just symbolically r. So so area equal to pi r square. So you can find out. So this is a first example. Then there are different ways to call the function. As we see in the previous example, we call the function simply my first example parenthesis because there was a single r. Suppose we create a function. We create a function where there are three arguments a, b, and c. So I have created a function whose name is new dot function, and three arguments are there abc. And what is this? Is execute. It execute the task this a star b, means it compute the a star b plus c, means a into b plus c, and that is stored a variable result, and you have to print result. So, this is a variable so which is stored in result variable, and that result will be the print using the print. So this is a simple code which computes, or this is a function which compute a into b plus c, and where a, b, c are three numbers. So if I copy this, Control C, and if I copy it here, for example, so this is the hash. So this is a no problem. So new dot function. So again, if I execute it, so it has been executed. Now suppose I want to call this. So suppose I want to call this, then I am required three numbers, three parameters. So call the function by position of the arguments. Means if I write down new dot function 5 3 11, so it means 5 will be assigned to a, 3 will be assigned to b, and 11 will be assigned to the c. 5 3 11. So I write down new dot function. Already suggestion is there because I have run the above code. So new dot function and 5 3 11. So I check 5 3 11. Yes, and suppose I run it, select it, run it. Yes, output is 26. So what will be the output? Because 5 into 3 15 plus 11 26. So this is known as the calling by uh, position, means it will take the position wise. Other way, it may be the call by function by names, means a, b, and c by name. You can define, means what is the value of a is 11, b is 5, and c is 3. So you can write down it like that. And it is not necessary if you want to call this function by name, then you have to mention the order in which they are written abc, because it may be the alternate way. So this line may be the alternate for this one, means b is 11 and a is 5 or c is 13. So suppose for example, I write down new dot function. If I take a is equal to uh, I take same value 5, and b is equal to 3, and c equal to 11. So output will be the same as the 26. So now output is, and similarly alternate way may be dot new dot function, and then suppose I say c is equal to 11 and b equal to 3 and a equal to 5. So now order is changed, but values are the same. C is 11, B is 3, and A is 5. So I have changed the position. So now output is again 26. So either you can call by position. So there is no need to write down or specifically ABC equal to. And but if you want to change the position, so you can call it by the name as well. So if you want to take the source from the file, means if you execute that function is not working, then try this source command and then you can write down the function. So I skip here. So because I have already shown it here, so it is environment is global, and if you run it once it from here, then it will be available to the your system. So again, lazy evaluation of the function. What is the evaluation of the function? So means they are evaluated only when needed by the function. Means for example, this is a function, new dot function where function a and b, which prints a square, a and b. Means it will print three values. It will give you the three values, and inputs are that there are two inputs. In first line, it gives you the square root of the first element. Square only print the first element and print the second element. And if I call this function new dot function 6, means how many inputs variables are there? Two, means there are two arguments, but you are supplying only one. So it automatically it will map 6 to A, and there is no value for B, but it will evaluate. So it will not give an error. So it will evaluate this function for if it is mapping A is equal to 6. So if I copy this function, suppose I run this program, then I call this function like this, new dot function, and suppose I write down 6 here. So now we check what will be the output. Yes, so output is first output is 36, means square root of, sorry, square of a, and a is mapped to the 6. What is the second output? Print a, 6 is output. And what is the print b? So error in print b, argument b is missing with no default. So there is no default value, means because I have not supplied any value. So but it is not giving an error, so it is given only error in this where this argument is using. That's clear. So we have already discussed the anonymous function which has no names. So and simple functions can be written in a single line. Suppose for example, anonymous function can be written as uh, which computes x into 10, means 10x. Suppose function x whose name, so there is no name, so you have to write down the function, and that should be closed, means this is the function definition from here to here. So not from here, only up to here. This is the function definition, means you have to write down the function x, not necessary only one argument, there will be the multiple argument x into 10, and closing of the function. And after that you define or you are calling the function, means evaluate this function at the value of 10. So it provides the output, means this 10 will be replaced by this x, means 10 into 10, means it gives you the 100. Suppose this is a I put it here or here, doesn't matter. Suppose I put it here. So if I call this function, so it returns the output 100, because this is a function which provides the, and suppose I take x and y, and I change it here, x plus y, and multiplied by and suppose I write down here 10 into 10. So now what will be the output? 200. Why? There are two arguments, x plus x. So x plus x, 10 plus 10, 20, and 20 is multiplied by 10, so 2. So this is an inline function and anonymous function, means I have not given any name. So simple function can be written like this. So, and if you want to make it as a normal form, then you can assign into a function and then call the function like this. But this is only for small function. If the function has number of lines, then we will prefer the normal way to define the functions. That's clear. So again, we discuss a function where we check whether a given number is negative, positive, or zero. We have already discussed this example without function. Means we discuss only up to here, but we did not make it as a function. Now we can make the whatever code was written in the previous slide to check whether a number is positive or negative. We can make it as my function which checks, and I gave the name to this function, my function number check. Means this is my function. Means this is any descriptive name you can give. And so if I copy paste it, so I have already discussed this. If x is less than 0, then print negative number, else if it is positive greater than 0, positive number, else this. And if I copy, suppose I paste it here, and if I run it, yes, my function. So if you want to check here, then that function will be the available my function number dot check, and you can take it as, and at any number you can check. Suppose I take 65, enter, so positive number. Again I want to execute this code. So now it is a function, right? So you have to call, you can call at on any number. Suppose I take 0, so it number is 0, so it is matching. So suppose I take some negative number, so negative number. So now it will this function is treating as a function which uh, provides whether a number is positive, negative, or 0. So this is a simple function to check whether a given number is even or odd. So I give the name of this function or dot even dot my function. So you can give any name according to your choice. Then equal to function n. So n, that will the number to which we have to or this is the input this function which we have to check whether it is even or odd. So if you have logic, a number is known as the even. If you divide by 2 and the remainder is 0, then that is the even number. Otherwise, number is odd because there are only two possibilities. So I use if else structure here. So you are checking condition here. If that number is divisible by 2, means if you divide by 2 and remainder is equal to 0. So this operator is known as the mode operator, or otherwise you can write down the mode as well, mod n comma 2. So n means you are checking that number, n is you are checking the remainder when this n is divided by 2, and the if that remainder is equal to 0, because there is double equal, because you are checking the condition, you are not assigning. So if the remainder, so it provides the remainder when n is divided by 2, and if that is equal to 0, then print even, otherwise print odd. So this is the simple function which checks the even and odd. So I'll take it as copy paste and select it, and I run this. And if I run this code, so now you can check that this function is available or dot even my function. So suppose I want to check this number. So this is the odd. Suppose I want to check 56. So this is even. So according to you can modify this output. This number is even or whatever. So which is written here. So that will be printed as it is within the box. So another example is to sum of the first and natural numbers. Means suppose we want to find out the sum from 1 to n. 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n. So this is the logic. What is the logic here? For example, suppose 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to n. N is any positive integer. So we have to find out the sum. So suppose initially I take sum is equal to 0. Means initially sum is 0, and in first step I will add this sum into this number, right? Sum plus 1. So and in the second step new sum will be the 1, and in the next step I will add 2 in that sum. So actually this will be the logic here. Means sum equal to sum. So this is nothing else. This is the previous sum, and plus add the number. Means suppose this is the index I, which represent the I. This is represent the I. Means initially this is represent the first step. In first step I have to add 1 in this sum, and initially sum is 0. This is 0. So in first steps, suppose these are the steps 1, 2, 3, 4. So in first step, what will be the sum? Sum is 0 and I is 1. So output so sum, new sum will be the 1. In the second step, that sum is same as the previous one. So that sum will become the 1, and now I is 2. I is 2. So in the next step, sum will become I plus 2. So it will become 3. In the next step, now sum is become 1 plus 2 and I will become 3. So it gives you new sum, it gives you the 1 plus 2 plus 3. So up to where we have to continue this process up to n times, up to I is equal to. So we can use the loop to do this task. Means the previous sum plus I, and that will be assigned to the new sum. So we can use this technique here. So this is initially, this is the first line where we have to initialize the sum is equal to 0. Then I use the for loop, and for from I in I have already this is the syntax uh, to define the for loop. So I is indexed variable, means it tells you the steps, and in means it will be true when I is from 1 to 1. Means when I will belongs to this sequence, means I is from 1 to 1. Simply this is the meaning of this one. I is from 1 to 1. So this code will be executed when I will be within in this set. So I is from 1 to 1. So this code will be executed n times from I is equal to 1. So sum is equal to sum plus I. And after this is the scope of the for loop. So we have calculated the sum, and final we have to display the sum. So for displaying the sum, either you can use the print and sum, and if you want to make more and if you want to make more formatting in the output, then you can write this as this paste command. What is the paste command? So paste function concatenate the vectors after converting the characters. So actually, this will be printed as it is, which is written as in double quotes. So that will be the print as it is, sum of the first natural numbers up to n. But n is without. So after that comma, n is without quotes. Means it is a variable. And what will be the value of variable? So value of variable will be it will take from here, from take it, and is also within quotes, so that will be printed as it is, and after that comma sum, and sum is a variable, so what will be the value of sum, that will be printed here. So means you can format your output in this form, in this using this type. So I take copy this function and paste it here. So these has commands, so for only. So what is the name of my function? My dot sum. So I will run this part. There is some error in sum is equal to. So I think there is some copy paste problem. Otherwise, we can write it as again this function. I can write it here, no issue. So my dot sum equal to function and say n, and plus sign is for means R is expecting more inputs. So curly braces, and then I'm writing sum equal to 0, and then for I in 1 to n, and then sum equal to sum plus I, and this is closed, and I'm just print only sum. Actually, sum is a predefined keyword, so it may be a problem because I say that that should not be predefined keyword, but let I check. So this is closed. So this is example my sum, my dot sum, and then suppose I check 5. Yes, output is 15, so it's working. So there is some copy paste problem. My sum dot function. So if you put 5 here, so means sum from 1 to 5. 1 plus 2 will be 3 plus 4. 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4, 7 plus 5. Just check. So, so it will be 50. Yes, because 1 plus 2 is 3. plus 3 6 plus 4 10 plus 5 15. So if I want to find out 10, so that will be 55. And if you want to 5 of 400, so it will be 5050. So you can check. So similarly, you can make a function for factorial as well, because both have the same concept, but only difference is that in the previous example we find out the addition sum from 1 to n. Here we have to multiply from 1 to n. So what will be the changed here? In the previous example, we take the sum plus I. Here will be the fact into y, means the fact is a variable, just like similar previous to the previous example sum. But fact will be initialized with 1, because you can't take it as the 0 here. Because if you take 0 here, then it will become the 0 for all values. So because you are you are taking an identity, just in the previous example that was the some identity. Here you are taking the multiplicative identity, that is the 1. Means initially if you multiply by the 1, so well, does not change. In the previous example, you take the sum is equal to 0, because if you add sum is equal to 0, then the value did not change. So this is the only change, just replace that place by multiplication, and that is by 1. And I have changed sum is equal to fact here, so it doesn't matter. So if I take it as a copy paste, and if this, I think there is should not be copy paste problem. Yes, so there is no issue in this. Again, there is an issue of copy paste, I think. So I can change it here. Uh, in the first line, I define as sum. Otherwise, I can copy paste it this code. So I remove the plus sign, this plus sign, this. So I take fact is equal to 1, and fact is multiplied by I. So if I run it, so my sum, so the name of my function is my sum, but it provides the factorial. So it will provide the factorial. So I can change the my name as well. So I sum, suppose I take 5. My sum is 5. Why it is requiring, oh, one is missing here, one curly braces. So now it is completed. And if you run it, sum, suppose I compute at 5. So I made a mistake. Print should be fact, not sum. I run it again. My sum 5. So output is 120. So doesn't matter what name I am using here, but what code is written. So that's matter. So my sum 5 if you write down, but it is providing the factorial, because I made the code within the body which computes the factorial. That's clear. So I write down the my sum for 10. So it compute the factorial for 10. So, and if you want to change the name, then you can change. So this was the simple code where we can compute the factor. So now last topic, how we can solve the differential equation in R. And this is our main purpose to solve the differential equations in R. So there is a predefined function in R, and that is the ODE. So ODE exists for ordinary differential equation. Actually, this lecture will become very lengthy, so I will continue in the next lecture. I stop here, then I continue our discussion in next lecture from here.